Are you stuck when it comes to rehab costs or creating a budget? I'm going to walk you through some of the steps that I use to create a budget and stick to it in this changing market. I'm Tyler Madden, and I'm a general contractor, and I specialize in luxury remodels here in Denver. While running my own business, I'm also a real estate investor with my wife. As you listen, make sure to check out the resources linked below, and go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment on this channel so you don't miss a single thing. So you're looking at buying a property that needs some work, and you want to make sure your rehab costs are accurate in this evolving market? Do you need to know how to make a basic budget and how to stick to it? As someone who likes high-end finishes, managing my rehab costs is definitely something that I had to master myself for my value-add projects. I became a general contractor because I had such a poor experience with the people I hired to work on my house, and they didn't do what they said they would do. They would charge me more money, they would leave my project incomplete, just totally frustrated. By becoming a general contractor, I was able to keep a high standard of execution, and I was only accountable to myself. Then I got started with my own investments, and I quickly realized how important it is to manage my rehab costs. First, you need to understand your buyer and your neighborhood. Are you rehabbing in an A-class or a D-class neighborhood? Are you wary about the ever-changing market? What's your level of finish, and what's your time frame? My luxury models can take months and months, especially with material availability being an issue right now, but remove and replace rehabs with contractor-grade finishes can be much faster, sometimes only weeks. If you're not sure, take a look around, check available listings and recently sold homes, and see what you see. If you go above or below too far from the comps in the area as far as finishes go, you can expect big costs to hit your budget. If your numbers work to buy a property in this market, you must be aware of your budget and plan on the cost and timing accordingly. Next, you've got to make sure that before you get your heart set on the property, you tour it and you have a good idea of what needs attention right out of the gate. Once you have a good understanding of what you want the finished product to look like, walk the property with a video camera and someone to take notes with you. Even if you're by yourself, you want to do as much as you can to capture information while you're there. When you're considering rehab costs, make sure to note the big problems. Examples include roofs, foundations, mold, asbestos if the property was built between 1940 and 1977, maybe 1980, HVAC issues, sewer line, even termites. All that stuff needs to be tended to, and you need to think worst case scenario and validate whether or not those things are issues. These things can quickly crush even the most detailed budget if they're not factored in. Have someone with you or do it yourself, but it's super important to take great notes and also at least some rough measurements. The notes you take will help you build your initial scope of work or your rehab budget. It's much easier to revisit your notes and your videos than it is to rely on just your memory alone. Mine sucks and I can't do anything about that, so video everything, notes everything, every last detail comes home with me. 3. Categorize your notes and start putting a cost to each item. Once you have your notes, it's time to organize them. You can do this a couple of ways. You can go priority, high to low. You could do interior versus exterior versus general updates. With either categorization, it's important to keep in mind your type of rehab. Is it small updates needed or mostly remove and replace? Use option 1 where you prioritize medium, high priority, low priority. If it's a full gut job and a larger budget, maybe the second option is probably the better one where you're more detailed about every little thing. This is where you get a scope of work, sometimes known as an SOW. Once you've categorized your scope of work, it's time to price each line item out. I'm not gonna lie, this is the hardest part, especially with the evolving market. Prices on everything are up, inflation, supply chain issues, labor shortages, everything's going against you, but all hope is not lost. Stay the course, plan it out right, be thorough, and you'll come out ahead. This part may seem overwhelming, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Take each item in its respective category and systematically attribute a dollar amount to both the labor and the material aspects of that line. Let's use flooring as an example. If you measure that you need to replace 1,000 square feet of flooring when you did your initial walkthrough with LVP, a great place to start would be to search LVP by the square foot pricing, call local stores, go walk your big box stores, find in-stock items, and see what they charge for the flooring per square foot. Then you can do the simple math where you take the price per square foot that you just figured out, multiply that by the amount you need to do. So price per square foot by 1,000 square feet, that gives you the total cost of your material. Now you need to figure out what you're gonna be paying for labor. There are a couple ways to do this, but one of my favorite ways is honestly call around to installers in your area. I can't give you a single dollar amount on this video that'll tell you what your market charges for this. Call around, ask questions, Tell the installers that you've got a project, it's 1,000 square feet, you're using such and such material, and they should be able to give you a rough dollar amount or even a CYA cost. I call this your cover your ass cost. So worst case scenario, what are they gonna charge you per square foot? Work that into your budget. So now you've got to keep taking down that elephant. Move to the next item on your list and continue on. Use the same method where you figure out what the material costs, you figure out what the labor costs. You put those together and go down the list. If you get stuck, ask for help. Throw questions out to your friends on social media, assuming you're friends with other rehabbers and investors. And if you're not, we have a lot more to talk about because I'm very passionate about networking with the people who are doing what I want to do. Go to meetups, check out the BiggerPockets forums, and ask other members what they use for costs. One of the best ways to feel even more prepared for everything that comes with some of your first deals is to join a BiggerPockets bootcamp. The Rookie Bootcamp goes through all the necessary steps to go from not knowing where and how to start all the way to getting your first deal. Right now, I'm adding about 15 to 20% to everything on my budget to account for the current market conditions, the inflation, the material cost fluctuations, supply chain issues, and labor shortages, which result in higher labor costs. This allows me to stay ahead of my numbers and plan for the worst. If you're not doing this, then I would highly suggest making sure to have at least a reserve set aside for any unexpected overages. I recommend 10 to 15% on the low side for just in case items. As you do this, make sure to have a system to track your pricing, whether through something simple like Google Sheets or a project management software that's a little more sophisticated. You want to be able to systemize and use your rehab costs over and over again as you continue to tackle deals. Your first scope of work should be one that you can come back to over and over, deal after deal, so that you have a standard that you can refine. As I mentioned, each market and neighborhood and house is going to have different rehab costs associated with it. While that may be daunting, if you think about the entire project and keep your budget in mind, then you'll come out ahead and you'll understand where and how to spend your money appropriately. It's important to start with a general budget. Understand your market and your neighborhood, what your renter or buyer wants, and take great notes and anticipate all the potential costs of your remodel. Do your research, text or phone a friend, and get involved with the real estate community. Keep track of your system and your expenses so that you can use them all on your next project and refine the process. A great book to read if you're just getting started in rehabbing is the book on estimating rehab costs by Jay Scott. Obviously, this throws out specific dollar amounts that are not necessarily valuable today, but the methodology is crucial. So feel free to visit that book and get a pulse on how to create a in-depth guide and budget and scope of work. How do you prepare for your rehab costs? Let me know in the comments. If you're not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we post a new video. We publish new videos every week to help real estate investors like you succeed. Thanks for listening, everybody. My name is Tyler Madden. You can check me out and find out what kind of hijinks I'm getting into on Instagram. That's the best place to follow me. @Tyler Madden is where you'll find me. So come say hi. I love connecting with everybody.